Captain Anderson muttered under his breath as he watched the alien ambassador vaporize a table full of pastries. The crew of the USS Resolute stared at the smoldering remains, the smell of burnt sugar and flour mingling with the scent of fear. The ambassador, a towering creature with blue scales and multiple eyes, retracted its weaponized appendage with irritation. It turned its gaze to Anderson. "Humans of Earth, you will surrender and offer tribute to the Galactic Empire or face annihilation," it declared. Anderson kept a straight face, knowing the crew looked to him for guidance. Turning to Commander Reynolds, he saw his second-in-command struggling to hide a smirk. "Commander, it seems our guest isn't a fan of our hospitality. Perhaps we should discuss their demands," Anderson suggested. Reynolds nodded, amusement not fully masked. "Indeed, Captain. Let's take this to the war room." The alien ambassador followed them down the corridors of the ship, its many eyes scanning everything with disdain and curiosity. The atmosphere among the crew was tense, but underneath lay a simmering defiance that Anderson could feel. In the war room, surrounded by senior officers, Anderson took charge. The large table, now devoid of any snacks, bore the weight of the ambassador's overwhelming presence. Despite this, Anderson knew humanity held the advantage here. "You demand our surrender and tribute," Anderson began, leaning forward. "What exactly does this tribute entail?" The ambassador's voice resonated through the room, a deep rumbling growl. "Your planet's resources, your technology, and your servitude. The Galactic Empire tolerates no resistance." Anderson nodded slowly, as if considering the proposal. "And if we refuse?" The ambassador's eyes narrowed. "Annihilation." Reynolds leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms. "That's quite a stark choice. But you see, humans have a long history of not taking kindly to threats." Anderson raised a hand to silence Reynolds. "What my commander means is we need time to consider your offer. Such decisions are not made lightly." The ambassador seemed to contemplate this, its eyes shifting colors as it processed the information. "You have one Earth day. Then we will expect your answer." As the ambassador left the room, Reynolds turned to Anderson, the smirk now gone. "What's the plan, Captain?" Anderson stood with a determined glint in his eye. "We run, Commander. Not in the way you think. We're going to play for time. We need to gather our forces, inform Earth, and prepare for war. This empire underestimates us." Reynolds grinned. "I like the sound of that." The hours that followed were a blur of activity. Messages were sent to Earth warning of the impending threat. The Resolute's crew worked tirelessly to prepare the ship for battle, checking and rechecking every system. Anderson walked among them, offering words of encouragement and ensuring everyone knew the stakes. As the deadline approached, Anderson found himself back in the war room, surrounded by his senior officers. They had a plan, one that relied heavily on the element of surprise and the innate resilience of humanity. "The time has come," Anderson declared firmly. "We refuse your offer. Humanity will never bow to tyrants." The ambassador's eyes flared with anger. "Then you will be destroyed." The moment the words left the ambassador's mouth, the Resolute sprang into action. Weapon systems activated, shields went up, and the ship's engines roared to life. Anderson and his crew had no intention of going down without a fight. The first volley of fire from the alien ship was met with a well-coordinated counterattack. The Resolute's advanced weaponry, a testament to human ingenuity and relentless pursuit of progress, struck hard and fast. The alien shields flickered and faltered under the barrage. "Keep firing," Anderson commanded, his voice steady despite the chaos. The bridge was a flurry of activity, each officer focused on their tasks. Commander Reynolds was at the tactical station, his hands flying over the controls as he directed the ship's firepower with precision. "Sir, they're charging their main weapon," shouted Lieutenant Harris from the sensors. Anderson's mind raced. "Reynolds, focus all fire on their main cannon. We need to take it out before they can fire." The Resolute's guns blazed, concentrating their energy on the alien ship's primary weapon. The tension was thick as they watched the enemy ship's weapon systems begin to glow with a menacing light. "Impact in 10 seconds," Harris called out. "Just a little more," Anderson muttered under his breath. A massive explosion rocked the enemy ship as the Resolute's firepower found its mark. The alien vessel shuddered, its main weapon going dark. Cheers erupted on the bridge, but Anderson knew the fight was far from over. "Status report," he ordered Reynolds. Reynolds scanned the readouts. "Their primary weapon is down, but they're not out of the fight yet. They are launching fighters. Prepare for close combat. All hands, brace for incoming, Anderson commanded. As the alien fighters swarmed towards them, the Resolute's point defense systems kicked into high gear, blasting the smaller ships out of the sky. The battle was fierce, each side giving no quarter. "Captain, our shields are down to 30%, Reynolds reported. "We need to end this now," Anderson gritted his teeth. "Commander, repair the railguns. Target their engines. Let's see how they handle losing their mobility." Reynolds nodded and relayed the orders. The ship's railguns powered up, and with a deafening roar, they fired. The projectiles streaked through space, slamming into the alien ship's engines with devastating force. "Direct hit," Harris shouted. "Their engines are offline." Anderson allowed himself a small smile. "Now let's finish this." The Resolute closed in on the crippled alien ship, its weapon systems delivering the final blows. Explosions rippled across the enemy vessel, and within moments, it was nothing more than a drifting hulk. Cheers erupted once more on the bridge, but Anderson remained focused. "Stay alert. There may be more of them out there." As the crew settled back into their stations, Anderson looked out into the vastness of space. This was just the beginning. The Galactic Empire had made a grave mistake in underestimating humanity, and they were about to learn just how tenacious humans could be. "The message is clear," Anderson said as the USS Resolute docked at Earth's main space station, the Elysium, amidst a flurry of activity. Earth had received their message, and preparations were well underway for the coming war. As Captain Anderson disembarked, he was greeted by Admiral Cole, a grizzled veteran with a steely gaze. "Captain Anderson," Cole said, offering a curt nod. "Welcome back. Your report was eventful." Anderson returned the nod. "Admiral, the Galactic Empire is not to be underestimated. They've got firepower and technology that rivals our own. But we showed them that humanity isn't going to roll over." Cole's lips twitched into a brief smile. "Indeed. Let's debrief in my office." Inside the Admiral's office, Anderson and Reynolds outlined the encounter with the alien ambassador and the subsequent battle. Cole listened intently, his expression unreadable. "The Galactic Empire's demands were clear," Anderson concluded. "Surrender and offer tribute or face annihilation. We chose to fight." Cole leaned back in his chair, his fingers steepled. "Good. The Council has already decided we won't surrender. But we need a strategy. This empire won't stop with one defeat. They'll be back and in greater numbers." Reynolds nodded. "We need to hit them where it hurts, find their weak points, and exploit them." "Agreed," Cole said, activating a holographic display showing a star map. "Our scouts have identified a planet deep in their territory, Primus. It's heavily fortified, but it's the heart of their operations. If we can infiltrate it and take out their leadership, we might stand a chance." Anderson studied the map. "That's a bold move. We'll need a specialized team." "You'll have them," Cole assured him. "But remember, this is a high-risk mission. Failure is not an option." Back on the Resolute, preparations for the mission began immediately. The crew worked around the clock, outfitting the ship with the latest technology and weaponry. Anderson handpicked his team, elite soldiers and seasoned officers who had proven their mettle time and again. As the ship prepared to depart, Anderson addressed his crew. "We're about to embark on one of the most dangerous missions humanity has ever undertaken. Our objective is clear: strike at the heart of the Galactic Empire and ensure they can never threaten Earth again. I have faith in each and every one of you. Let's show them what humanity is capable of." The crew responded with a rousing cheer, their resolve unshakable. The Resolute launched from the Elysium, its engines roaring to life as it sped towards enemy territory. The journey was long, and the tension was palpable, but the crew remained focused. As they approached Primus, the Resolute's stealth systems engaged, cloaking the ship from enemy sensors. Anderson and Reynolds stood on the bridge, watching the planet grow larger on the view screen. "Remember our primary objective," Anderson reminded his team. "We get in, complete the mission, and get out. We can't afford to get caught up in a prolonged battle." The Resolute descended through the planet's atmosphere. Below them lay a dark, forbidding landscape, heavily fortified with formidable defenses. The enemy's presence was palpable, but the Resolute slipped through undetected. They landed in a secluded area away from the main fortifications. The team disembarked, moving swiftly and silently through the alien terrain. Anderson led the way, his senses heightened as he navigated the unfamiliar environment. The entrance to the command center was heavily guarded, but Anderson's team was prepared. Using advanced tech and precise coordination, They neutralized the guards and breached the facility. Inside, they moved with lethal efficiency, bypassing security systems and taking down any resistance they encountered. As they reached the central command room, Anderson's heart pounded. This was it, the moment of truth. They burst into the room, weapons ready, only to be met with a chilling sight, the alien leadership waiting for them. "You've come far, humans," the leader said, a sly smile on its alien face. "But did you really think we wouldn't be prepared?" Alarms blared as the room filled with enemy soldiers. Anderson and his team found themselves surrounded, outnumbered and outgunned. But surrender was not an option. "Fall back," Anderson ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos. "Regroup and fight our way out." The team fought valiantly, their training and determination pushing them forward. Anderson's mind raced as he searched for a way out. They couldn't afford to fail now, not when they were so close. "Captain, over here," Reynolds shouted, pointing to a secondary exit. Anderson nodded, rallying his team. "Move. We're not done yet." They fought their way towards the exit, every step a battle. Anderson's heart ached for the men and women they lost along the way, but they couldn't afford to stop. The mission was too important. As they burst through the exit, the Resolute was waiting, its engines ready for a quick escape. The team scrambled aboard, and the ship lifted off, racing away from Primus. In the chaos they had unleashed, Anderson collapsed into his chair, exhaustion washing over him. They had struck a blow, but the war was far from over. The Galactic Empire would regroup, and they would come for Earth with vengeance. "We're not done yet," Anderson muttered to himself, steeling his resolve. "This is just the beginning." The journey back to Earth was fraught with tension. Anderson's mind churned with thoughts of the events on Primus and the heavy toll the mission had taken. He knew the Galactic Empire would respond swiftly and brutally. Their escape had been narrow, and now the Resolute hurtled through space, the crew working around the clock to prepare for the inevitable retaliation. As they neared Earth, they received a transmission from Admiral Cole. "Captain Anderson, report to the war room immediately upon arrival. We have much to discuss." The Resolute docked at Earth's main space station amidst a flurry of activity. Earth had received their message, and preparations were well underway for the coming battle. In the war room, the atmosphere was electric with urgency. Cole and several high-ranking officers stood around a large holographic table, displaying the galaxy and numerous red dots indicating enemy fleet movements. "Your mission on Primus was successful in sowing chaos," Cole greeted with a grave nod. "But the Empire is retaliating with full force. They're launching an all-out assault on Earth." Anderson exchanged a look with Reynolds. "What's our status, Admiral?" Cole's expression was grim. "We've mobilized every ship and soldier we have. Earth's defenses are formidable, but the Empire's fleet is massive. This will be the fight of our lives. We didn't come this far to lose," Anderson declared firmly. "Now, what's our plan?" Cole gestured to the holographic map. "We'll meet them in space, try to thin their numbers before they reach the planet. But the real fight will be on the ground. They're targeting key installations, military bases, power plants, communication hubs. We need to protect those at all costs." Reynolds spoke up. "What about the civilians?" "We're evacuating as many as we can and taking them to underground shelters," Cole replied. "But if the defenses fail, there's no guarantee." Anderson felt a cold determination settle over him. "We'll hold the line, Admiral. Whatever it takes." The Resolute was quickly resupplied and rearmed as Anderson and Reynolds returned to the bridge. The crew was already preparing for the impending battle. The tension was palpable, but there was also a fierce resolve. "All hands, this is Captain Anderson," his voice echoed through the ship. "We are about to face the greatest threat humanity has ever known. But we are ready. We will fight for our home, for our families, for our future. Let's show them what it means to be human." A chorus of affirmations echoed through the ship. The Resolute launched into space, joining the vast armada of Earth ships preparing to intercept the enemy fleet. The first contact was brutal. The void of space lit up with the fury of battle, ships clashing in a deadly dance of fire and steel. The Resolute weaved through the chaos, its weapons unleashing a storm of destruction upon the enemy. "Target their lead ships," Anderson commanded. "We need to disrupt their formation." Reynolds directed the fire, and the Resolute's guns blazed. Enemy ships exploded in brilliant bursts, but more took their place. The battle was a desperate struggle, each side giving no quarter. Captain, we're taking heavy fire, Harris called out. Keep those shields up, Anderson replied. We can't let them break through. Despite their best efforts, the enemy fleet pressed on, pushing ever closer to Earth. Anderson knew they couldn't hold them off forever. Admiral, the enemy is breaking through, Anderson reported. We need to fall back and protect the planet. Understood, Captain. Cole's voice crackled over the comm. Fall back to the secondary defense line. We'll regroup and hit them hard. The fleet retreated, drawing the enemy into a tighter formation. As the ships neared Earth, the ground defenses sprang to life, a wall of firepower ready to repel the invaders. Hold the line, Anderson shouted. Don't let them through. The battle raged on, a cacophony of destruction. The Resolute was in the thick of it, its guns blazing, shields flickering under the onslaught. Anderson moved with singular purpose, every decision focused on survival. Captain, enemy ships are landing troops on the surface, Reynolds reported. They're going for the power plants. Anderson's mind raced. We need to stop them. Harris, take command of the ship. Reynolds, you're with me. They rushed to the hangar, where a shuttle awaited. As they descended to the planet's surface, the scope of the battle became clear. Explosions rocked the landscape, and the sky was filled with the streaks of laser fire. Secure the perimeter, Anderson ordered, firing his rifle. We can't let them take this planet. Reynolds and the squad moved with precision, taking out enemy troops and fortifying their position. The battle was fierce, but the human soldiers fought with a tenacity born of desperation and hope. Reinforcements incoming, Reynolds shouted over the din. A wave of fresh troops joined the fray, pushing back the enemy. Anderson felt a surge of hope. They were holding the line. Captain, we've secured the area, Reynolds reported. Anderson nodded, his eyes scanning the battlefield. Good. Now let's make sure it stays that way. The battle raged on for hours, each minute a test of endurance and will. Slowly but surely, the human forces began to turn the tide. The enemy, relentless as they were, started to falter. Admiral, this is Anderson, he reported over the comm. We're pushing them back. Excellent work, Captain, Cole replied. Keep the pressure on. We're not out of this yet. The final push was a desperate, all-out assault. The human forces rallied, their resolve unbreakable. The enemy fleet, battered and broken, began to retreat. We did it, Reynolds said, looking around at the weary but triumphant team. We did, Anderson agreed, his eyes scanning the battlefield. But let's make sure they never come back. The battle was won, but the cost was high. As the remnants of the Galactic Empire's fleet fled, Earth stood battered but unbroken. The victory was a testament to human resilience and determination. Back on the Resolute, Anderson addressed his crew one final time. Today, we faced the greatest threat we've ever known and emerged victorious. We showed the galaxy that humanity will never bow to tyranny. We are strong, we are united, and we will always fight for our freedom. The cheers that followed were deafening, a celebration of survival and defiance. In the aftermath, Earth began to rebuild, the scars of battle remaining, but so too with the spirit of resistance. As Anderson stood on the bridge of the Resolute, he gazed out into the vastness of space. They had faced the darkness and emerged stronger, ready to face whatever challenges the future held. Set a course for Earth, Anderson ordered. We have a war to win. The Resolute turned and sped toward home, leaving behind the wreckage of their first victory. The message was clear. Humanity would not surrender, and they would never back down. The USS Resolute docked at Earth's main space station, the Elysium, amidst a flurry of activity. Earth had received their message, and preparations were well underway for the coming war. As Captain Anderson disembarked, he was greeted by Admiral Cole, a grizzled veteran with a steely gaze. Captain Anderson, Cole said, offering a curt nod. Welcome back. Your report was eventful. Anderson returned the nod. Admiral, the Galactic Empire is not to be underestimated. They've got firepower and technology that rivals our own. But we showed them that humanity isn't going to roll over. Cole's lips twitched into a brief smile. Indeed. Let's debrief in my office. Inside the Admiral's office, Anderson and Reynolds outlined the encounter with the alien ambassador and the subsequent battle. Cole listened intently, his expression unreadable. The Galactic Empire's demands were clear, Anderson concluded. Surrender and offer tribute, or face annihilation. We chose to fight. Cole leaned back in his chair, his fingers steepled. Good. The Council has already decided we won't surrender. But we need a strategy. This empire won't stop with one defeat. They'll be back, and in greater numbers. Reynolds nodded. We need to hit them where it hurts, find their weak points, and exploit them. Agreed, Cole said, activating a holographic display showing a star map. Our scouts have identified a planet deep in their territory, Primus. It's heavily fortified, but it's the heart of their operations. If we can infiltrate it and take out their leadership, we might stand a chance. Anderson studied the map. That's a bold move. We'll need a specialized team, the best we have. You'll have them, Cole assured him. But remember, this is a high-risk mission. Failure is not an option. Back on the Resolute, preparations for the mission began immediately. The crew worked around the clock, outfitting the ship with the latest technology and weaponry. Anderson handpicked his team for the mission, elite soldiers and seasoned officers who had proven their mettle time and again. As the ship prepared to depart, Anderson addressed his crew once more. We're about to embark on one of the most dangerous missions humanity has ever undertaken. Our objective is clear: strike at the heart of the Galactic Empire and ensure they can never threaten Earth again. I have faith in each and every one of you. Let's show them what humanity is capable of. The crew responded with a rousing cheer, their resolve unshakable. The Resolute launched from the Elysium, its engines roaring to life as it sped towards enemy territory. The journey was long, and the tension was palpable. But the crew remained focused. As they approached Primus, the Resolute stealth systems engaged, cloaking the ship from enemy sensors. Anderson and Reynolds stood on the bridge, watching the planet grow larger on the viewscreen. Remember our primary objective, Anderson reminded his team. We get in, complete the mission, and get out. We can't afford to get caught up in a prolonged battle. The Resolute descended through the planet's atmosphere. Below them lay a dark, forbidding landscape, heavily fortified with formidable defenses. The Resolute descended through the planet's atmosphere, its stealth systems concealing it from enemy detection. Anderson's team monitored their approach carefully, navigating through the planet's intricate defense networks. As they neared their landing zone, tension aboard the ship was palpable. Prepare for touchdown, Anderson ordered, his voice steady. Keep your eyes sharp, everyone. The landing was smooth, the Resolute settling into a secluded area away from the main enemy fortifications. Anderson and his team quickly disembarked, moving swiftly and silently through the alien terrain. They were deep within enemy territory now, every step carrying the weight of their mission. Anderson led the way, his senses heightened as he navigated the unfamiliar environment. They encountered occasional patrols but managed to evade them, relying on their training and advanced technology to stay undetected. The command center lay ahead, heavily guarded and fortified. Anderson's team utilized their advanced tech and precise coordination to neutralize guards and breach the facility without raising alarms. Inside, they moved with lethal efficiency, bypassing security systems and taking down resistance swiftly and silently. As they approached the central command room, tension mounted. Anderson knew this was the critical moment. The success or failure of their mission hinged upon what lay beyond the next door. With weapons ready, they burst into the room, only to find themselves facing a chilling sight. The alien leadership gathered and waiting. You've come far, humans. The alien leader spoke, a sly smile playing on its alien face. But did you really think we wouldn't be prepared? Alarms blared as the room filled with enemy soldiers. Anderson and his team found themselves surrounded, outnumbered and outgunned. Surrender was not an option. Fall back, Anderson commanded, his voice unwavering. Regroup and fight our way out. The team fought valiantly, their training and determination pushing them forward. Anderson's mind raced as he searched for an escape route. Failure was not an option, not when they were so close to disrupting the enemy's plans. Captain, this way, Reynolds called out, pointing to a secondary exit. Anderson nodded, rallying his team. Move. We're not done yet. They fought their way toward the exit, every step a desperate struggle. Anderson felt the weight of the losses they had suffered, but there was no time to mourn. The mission was their priority. As they burst through the exit, the Resolute loomed ahead, its engines ready for a swift escape. The team scrambled aboard, and the ship lifted off, racing away from Primus in the chaos they had unleashed. Anderson slumped into his chair, exhaustion washing over him. They had struck a blow, but the war was far from over. The Galactic Empire would regroup, and Earth would need to be prepared for their vengeance. We're not done yet, Anderson muttered to himself, steeling his resolve. This is just the beginning. The journey back to Earth was fraught with tension. Anderson's mind churned with thoughts of the events on Primus and the heavy toll the mission had taken. The Resolute hurtled through space, the crew working tirelessly to prepare for the inevitable retaliation from the Galactic Empire. As they approached Earth, a transmission from Admiral Cole came through. Captain Anderson, report to the war room immediately upon arrival. We have much to discuss. The Resolute docked at Earth's main space station, greeted by a flurry of activity as Earth prepared for the impending battle. In the war room, urgency filled the air. Cole and high-ranking officers gathered around a holographic map displaying the galaxy with red dots marking enemy fleet movements. Your mission on Primus caused significant disruption, Cole acknowledged with a grave nod. But now the Empire is retaliating with everything they have. They're launching a full-scale assault on Earth. Anderson exchanged a glance with Reynolds. What's our status, Admiral? Cole's expression was grim. We've mobilized all available ships and soldiers. Earth's defenses are strong, but the Empire's fleet is vast. This will be the battle of our lives. We've come too far to falter now, Anderson declared firmly. What's our strategy? Cole pointed to the holographic map. We'll engage them in space first, attempt to weaken their numbers before they reach Earth. But the real defense will be on the ground. They're targeting critical installations, military bases, power plants, communication hubs. Protecting those is paramount. Reynolds interjected. What about civilian populations? We're evacuating as many as possible to underground shelters, Cole replied, his voice heavy with concern. But if our defenses fail, Anderson's resolve hardened. We will hold our ground, Admiral. No matter the cost. The Resolute was swiftly resupplied and readied as Anderson and Reynolds returned to the bridge. The crew was preparing for the impending battle, the tension palpable, yet mixed with a fierce determination. All hands, this is Captain Anderson. His voice resonated throughout the ship. We are about to face the greatest threat humanity has ever known. But we are prepared. We will fight for our home, our families, our future. Let's show them what humans are made of. A chorus of acknowledgments echoed through the ship as the Resolute launched into space, joining Earth's armada to confront the approaching enemy fleet. The initial contact was fierce. Space lit up with the fury of battle as ships clashed in a deadly dance of lasers and explosions. The Resolute maneuvered through the chaos, unleashing its weaponry upon the enemy fleet. Target their lead vessels, Anderson commanded. We need to disrupt their formation. Reynolds directed the fire, and the Resolute's guns blazed. Enemy ships erupted in brilliant bursts, but more swiftly took their place. The battle became a desperate struggle, each side fighting without quarter. Captain, shields are weakening, Harris reported urgently. Maintain defensive positions, Anderson ordered. We can't afford to let them breach our lines. Despite their valiant efforts, the enemy fleet pressed onward, steadily closing the gap towards Earth. Anderson knew they could not hold out indefinitely. Admiral, they're breaking through, Anderson reported grimly. We need to fall back and secure the planet. Understood, Captain. Cole responded over the comm retreat to the secondary defense line. We'll regroup and counterattack. The fleet withdrew, luring the enemy into a more concentrated formation. As the enemy approached Earth, ground defenses sprang into action. A formidable wall of firepower prepared to repel the invaders. Hold the line, Anderson shouted. Do not let them breach. The battle raged on, an onslaught of destruction. The Resolute was in the thick of it, its guns blazing and shields straining against the enemy barrage. Anderson made split-second decisions, each aimed at survival and protecting Earth. Captain, enemy ships are landing troops, Reynolds reported urgently. They're targeting power stations. Anderson's mind raced. We must stop them. Harris, take command of the ship. Reynolds, you're with me. They rushed to the hangar, where a shuttle awaited. Descending to the planet's surface, the full scale of the battle unfolded. Explosions rocked the landscape, and the sky was a chaotic canvas of laser fire. Secure the perimeter, Anderson ordered, rifle blazing. We cannot let them take this planet. Reynolds and the squad moved with precision, eliminating enemy troops and fortifying their position. The battle was brutal, but the human soldiers fought with unwavering determination and hope. Reinforcements incoming, Reynolds called out above the cacophony. A fresh wave of troops surged forward, driving the enemy back. Anderson felt a surge of optimism. They were holding their ground. Captain, the area is secure, Reynolds reported. Anderson nodded, scanning the battlefield. Good. Now we must maintain our position. The battle raged for hours, each moment a test of endurance and resolve. Slowly but surely, the human forces began to gain ground. The enemy, formidable as they were, began to falter. "Admiral, this is Anderson," he reported over the comm. "We are pushing them back." "Excellent work, Captain," Cole responded. "Keep up the pressure. We're not out of this yet." The final push was an all-out assault. The human forces rallied, their determination unbreakable. The shattered remnants of the enemy fleet began to retreat. "We did it," Reynolds said, surveying the exhausted but victorious team. "We did," Anderson agreed, his eyes scanning the battlefield. "But we must ensure they do not return." The battle was won, but the cost was high. As the remnants of the Galactic Empire's fleet retreated, Earth stood battered yet unbroken. The victory was a testament to human resilience and determination. Back on the Resolute, Anderson addressed his crew one final time. "Today, we faced the greatest threat we have ever known and emerged victorious. We have shown the galaxy that humanity will never surrender. We are strong, we are united, and we will always fight for our freedom." Cheers erupted throughout the ship, a celebration of survival and defiance. In the aftermath, Earth began to rebuild, scars of battle remaining but overshadowed by the spirit of resistance. As Anderson stood on the bridge of the Resolute, gazing out into the vastness of space once more, he knew that the war was not over. The Galactic Empire may have been defeated for now, but others would come. And when they did, humanity would be ready. "Set a course for Earth," Anderson ordered, a determined smile crossing his face. "We have a future to build." The Resolute turned, engines thrumming with renewed purpose, and sped towards home. Their journey continued, a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity and its unyielding quest for survival. The journey back to Earth aboard the Resolute was filled with a mix of relief and somber reflection. Anderson stood on the bridge, watching the stars streak by, his mind racing with thoughts of the recent battle and the challenges that lay ahead. The crew worked tirelessly, repairing damage sustained during the conflict and preparing for the inevitable aftermath. Reports came in from across the fleet, casualties, damage assessments, and plans for rebuilding. Earth had won a decisive victory, but it had come at a cost. Anderson's thoughts turned to those who had fallen in battle, brave men and women who had given everything to protect their home. He knew their sacrifice would not be forgotten. "Captain," Reynolds approached, his expression solemn yet determined. "We did it. We held the line." Anderson nodded, his gaze still fixed on the starry expanse ahead. "Yes, we did. But this is just the beginning. The Galactic Empire won't stop with one defeat. They'll regroup, rebuild, and come back stronger." Reynolds nodded in agreement. "We need to be ready for whatever comes next." Upon their return to Earth's main space station, the Elysium, Anderson, and Reynolds were greeted by a scene of organized chaos. Repair crews worked around the clock to restore damaged ships and facilities, while medical teams tended to the wounded. Admiral Cole approached them, his expression a mix of relief and concern. "Welcome back, Captain." "Reynolds." Anderson offered a curt nod. "Admiral, how are things?" Cole sighed heavily. "We've taken a hit, but we're holding together. Earth is resilient." Anderson surveyed the bustling station. "What's our next move?" Cole gestured towards the war room. "We need to plan our defense. The Galactic Empire will come back, and we need to be ready." In the war room, Anderson, Reynolds, and a council of senior officers gathered around the holographic table, displaying the galaxy and enemy fleet movements. "We bought ourselves some time," Cole began, his voice grave, "but we cannot afford to be complacent. The Empire will retaliate, and we must be prepared." Anderson studied the tactical data, his mind racing through potential strategies. "We need to strengthen our defenses, fortify key installations, and bolster our fleet." Reynolds added, "And we need to anticipate their next move. They won't make the same mistake twice." Cole activated a holographic display showing a star map. "Our scouts have identified potential weak points in the Empire's territory. Strategic strikes could destabilize their command structure." Anderson nodded thoughtfully. "Hit them where it hurts. Disrupt their supply lines, sabotage their communication networks." Reynolds leaned forward, his expression determined. "We need a specialized team, the best of the best. They'll need to be quick, precise, and capable of operating deep behind enemy lines." Back on the Resolute, preparations for the next phase of the war began immediately. Anderson handpicked a team of elite soldiers and seasoned officers, individuals who had proven their mettle time and again. "We're assembling the strike team," Anderson announced to the crew. "This mission will be dangerous, but it's necessary. We need to keep the pressure on the Empire." The crew responded with a mix of determination and resolve. They had faced the Empire once and emerged victorious. Now they were ready to take the fight to the enemy's doorstep. The Resolute departed from the Elysium, its engines roaring to life as it sped towards enemy territory. The journey was long and tense, every moment filled with anticipation and preparation. Anderson gathered his team in the briefing room, outlining the mission objectives and the risks involved. "Our objective is clear: infiltrate enemy territory, strike at their heart, and disrupt their command structure. This won't be easy, but we've faced tougher odds before." The team nodded, their faces set with determination. They knew the risks, but they also understood the importance of their mission: to weaken the Empire's resolve and pave the way for future victories. As the Resolute approached the designated target, tension aboard the ship reached a fever pitch. Anderson and his team prepared for the covert insertion, their hearts pounding with adrenaline. "Stealth mode engaged," Reynolds reported from the bridge. "We're invisible to enemy sensors." Anderson nodded, his voice calm yet resolute. "Prepare for insertion. We go in fast, hit hard, and get out." The team moved with precision and speed, deploying from the Resolute in drop pods and skimming through the atmosphere toward their target. Below them, enemy defenses loomed ominously, but they remained undetected for now. The drop pods landed silently, Anderson's team moving swiftly through the shadows. They bypassed patrols, disabled security systems, and infiltrated deeper into enemy territory with each calculated step. "Targets sighted," Reynolds whispered over the comm, moving in. Anderson led the charge, his team executing their mission with lethal efficiency. They encountered resistance, enemy soldiers, automated defenses, but they pressed on, driven by their determination to succeed. Inside the enemy compound, chaos erupted as Anderson's team struck at critical targets. They sabotaged communication arrays, destroyed supply caches, and disrupted the enemy's command infrastructure. "Keep moving," Anderson ordered, his voice barely above a whisper. "We need to maximize the impact." The team moved like ghosts through the corridors, their actions sending shockwaves through the enemy ranks. They encountered fierce resistance but fought with unparalleled skill and determination. As alarms blared and enemy reinforcements closed in, Anderson's team regrouped for extraction. They fought their way back to the extraction point, every step a battle against time and overwhelming odds. "Resolute, this is Anderson," he spoke into his comm. "We need immediate extraction." "Coordinates sent." The Resolute responded swiftly, deploying a shuttle to retrieve the team under heavy fire. They raced against time, fighting off waves of enemy troops as they made their way back to safety. Back aboard the Resolute, Anderson and his team were greeted with a mix of relief and exhaustion. They had accomplished their mission, struck a decisive blow against the Galactic Empire. But there was no time to rest. Reports flooded in from across the fleet. Earth was preparing for the Empire's inevitable retaliation. The battle for survival was far from over. "We've bought ourselves some time," Anderson addressed his team. "But we need to be ready. The Empire will come back, and when they do, we'll be waiting." The crew nodded, their resolve unshaken. They had faced the Empire once and emerged victorious. Now they were ready for whatever came next, a testament to human resilience, courage, and the unyielding spirit of defiance. As the Resolute returned to Earth's main space station, the crew immediately began preparations for the inevitable retaliation from the Galactic Empire. Repair teams worked tirelessly to restore the ship to full operational status, while strategists and tacticians huddled in the war room, devising plans to defend the planet. Anderson stood at the helm, overseeing the preparations with a mixture of concern and determination. Reports came in from all corners of Earth's defenses: ground troops mobilized, space fleets positioned, and civilians evacuated to secure underground shelters. "We're readying the planetary defense grid," Anderson informed Reynolds as they surveyed the bustling activity on the space station. "But we need to anticipate their tactics. The Empire won't hold back." Reynolds nodded grimly. "We've fortified key installations and deployed additional troops. But their fleet is formidable." Days passed intense anticipation as Earth's defenses were bolstered and reinforcements from allied systems arrived. The sky above Earth teemed with activity, fighter squadrons patrolling, orbital defense platforms aligning, and the hum of energy shields being reinforced. In the war room, Anderson and his senior officers studied the tactical displays, analyzing enemy movements and potential attack vectors. They're massing their forces at the edge of the system, Reynolds reported, his finger tracing the holographic representation of the enemy fleet. It's a full-scale assault. Anderson's jaw clenched as he surveyed the data. Prepare the fleet. We meet them head-on. The Resolute took its position at the forefront of Earth's defense fleet, flanked by Allied ships from across the galaxy. The tension on board was palpable as they awaited the inevitable clash with the Galactic Empire's armada. All hands, battle stations, Anderson's voice echoed through the ship's intercom. This is it. Hold the line. The enemy fleet emerged from hyperspace, a formidable sight stretching across the horizon. Ships of all sizes and configurations bristle with weapons, their intent clear, total domination. Here they come, Reynolds muttered grimly from his station, eyes fixed on the approaching enemy. The battle erupted in a cacophony of lasers, missiles, and explosions as Earth's defense fleet met the enemy head-on. The Resolute's weapons blazed to life, unleashing a torrent of firepower against the advancing enemy ships. Focus fire on their capital ships, Anderson commanded, his voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around them. We need to disrupt their formation. Reynolds coordinated the fleet's response, directing squadrons of fighters and coordinating with Allied commanders. The sky above Earth became a battlefield, a dance of death and defiance as both sides fought for supremacy. As the battle raged on, Anderson and Reynolds monitored the tactical situation from the bridge of the Resolute. Reports came in from across the fleet, casualties mounting, shields failing, but the resolve remained unbroken. They're targeting our orbital defense platforms, Reynolds reported, his brow furrowed in concern. We're holding, but we can't sustain this level of firepower for long. Anderson gritted his teeth, his mind racing through potential strategies. Deploy the reserves. We need to bolster our defenses around Earth. Hours passed in a relentless exchange of fire as both sides fought tooth and nail for victory. The Resolute maneuvered with precision, its crew working tirelessly to keep the ship operational amid the chaos of battle. Enemy flagship disabled, Reynolds announced, a glimmer of hope in his voice. Their formation is breaking. Anderson's heart soared with cautious optimism. Push forward. Don't let them regroup. The tide began to turn as Earth's fleet gained momentum, exploiting weaknesses in the enemy's defenses and striking with precision. The enemy's resolve wavered, their fleet scattering under the relentless onslaught. As the last remnants of the Galactic Empire's fleet retreated into hyperspace, a sense of relief washed over the bridge of the Resolute. Cheers erupted among the crew. Victory hard-earned and well-deserved. We did it, Anderson murmured, a weary smile crossing his face. Earth stands strong. Reynolds clapped Anderson on the shoulder, pride shining in his eyes. We held the line, Captain. Against all odds. But amidst the celebrations, Anderson's thoughts turned to the future. The Galactic Empire may have been defeated for now, but others would come. And when they did, humanity would be ready. Prepare for cleanup and repairs, Anderson ordered, his voice firm yet exhausted. We'll rebuild stronger than ever. In the days that followed, Earth began the arduous task of rebuilding. Cities damaged by the conflict were repaired, fallen heroes honored, and alliances strengthened with newfound resolve. Anderson walked among the crew, offering words of gratitude and encouragement. The spirit of unity and resilience permeated every corner of the space station, a testament to humanity's unwavering determination. We've proven that we won't back down, Anderson addressed the crew during a gathering in the mess hall. The Galactic Empire underestimated us. They thought they could crush our spirit. They were wrong. Cheers erupted among the crew, their voices a chorus of defiance and hope. As Earth continued its recovery, Anderson and Reynolds knew that the battle was far from over. Reports trickled in from the outer rim, rumors of new threats, shadowy alliances, and whispers of a looming darkness on the horizon. We bought ourselves time, Reynolds remarked, his expression thoughtful as they stood on the observation deck, gazing out into the vastness of space. Anderson nodded, his jaw set with determination. But the galaxy is vast, and our enemies are many. We'll need to remain vigilant. As the Resolute prepared to depart for its next mission, Anderson addressed the crew one final time. Humanity has faced its greatest challenge and emerged victorious. Anderson's voice echoed through the ship. But our journey is far from over. There are worlds to explore, alliances to forge, and threats to confront. The crew stood united, their resolve unshaken by the trials they had faced. They were pioneers, warriors, and ambassadors for a future where humanity stood strong against the darkness. Set a course for the unknown, Anderson commanded, his eyes blazing with determination. We have a galaxy to explore and a future to build. The Resolute turned, engines thrumming with renewed purpose, and disappeared into the endless expanse of stars, a symbol of hope, courage, and the unyielding spirit of humanity. In the aftermath of the victory over the Galactic Empire, Earth found itself in a unique position. News of their triumph spread across the galaxy, drawing the attention of other civilizations and factions. Ambassadors from distant star systems arrived at Earth's space station, seeking alliances and trade agreements. Among them were species who had once been oppressed by the Galactic Empire, now eager to forge bonds with their liberators. Anderson and Reynolds navigated the delicate diplomacy, negotiating treaties and alliances that strengthened Earth's position in the galactic community. "We're not just defenders now," Anderson remarked to Reynolds as they reviewed the latest alliance proposal. "We're leaders." Reynolds nodded, a hint of pride in his voice. "We've proven that humanity is a force to be reckoned with." With alliances secured and Earth's defenses reinforced, the Resolute embarked on a new mission, exploration. Guided by the coordinates recovered from the Galactic Empire's databanks, they set course for uncharted regions of the galaxy. Their journey took them to planets teeming with life, ancient ruins left behind by long-extinct civilizations, and anomalies that challenged their understanding of space and time. "We're pioneers once again," Anderson remarked as they surveyed a lush, verdant world from the ship's observation deck. "Exploring the unknown, just like our ancestors." Reynolds nodded, his gaze fixed on the alien landscape below. "And forging friendships along the way." Amidst the wonder of exploration, shadows of the past loomed. Rumors surfaced of remnants of the Galactic Empire plotting revenge, alliances fraying under political intrigue, and ancient threats awakening from millennia-old slumber. "We can't afford to be complacent," Anderson warned during a briefing with his senior officers. "The galaxy is still a dangerous place." Reynolds agreed, his expression grave. "We need to stay vigilant, Captain. Our enemies won't rest until they've taken their revenge." One fateful day, while exploring a distant sector of space, the Resolute stumbled upon a distress signal. They arrived to find a peaceful civilization under siege by a ruthless warlord, a new threat rising from the ashes of the Galactic Empire. Anderson faced a difficult decision, torn between upholding their mission of exploration and intervening to save innocent lives. "We can't turn a blind eye," Reynolds argued, his voice filled with conviction. "We've sworn to protect." With their resolve firm, Anderson ordered the Resolute into battle once more. They fought alongside the beleaguered civilization, pushing back the warlord's forces and restoring peace to the sector. As news of their heroic intervention spread, more civilizations reached out to the Resolute for aid and protection. Earth's reputation as a beacon of hope and courage grew, inspiring others to stand against tyranny and injustice. "We're not just defending ourselves anymore," Anderson reflected as they received gratitude from the liberated civilization. "We're defending the values of freedom and justice." Reynolds nodded, pride evident in his eyes. "And leaving a legacy for future generations." With each new encounter and every alliance forged, the crew of the Resolute ventured deeper into the endless frontier of space. They faced challenges that tested their strength, diplomacy that stretched their resolve, and discoveries that expanded their understanding of the universe. "Every star holds a story," Anderson mused during a quiet moment in the ship's observatory. "And every planet, a mystery waiting to be unraveled." Reynolds smiled, gazing out at the vastness of space. "And we're part of that story now, Captain." After years of exploration and adventure, the Resolute returned to Earth once more. The crew was welcomed as heroes, their tales of courage and discovery celebrated across the planet. Anderson stood before the United Earth Council, recounting their journey and the challenges they had overcome. "We've shown that humanity's spirit is indomitable," he declared, "and that together we can face any challenge the galaxy throws at us." Reynolds stood at his side, a testament to their enduring partnership and friendship forged in the crucible of space. As Earth entered a new era of prosperity and unity, Anderson and Reynolds continued their service in different capacities. Anderson as an ambassador to the galactic community, and Reynolds as a strategist and leader within Earth's defense forces. Together, they navigated the complexities of interstellar politics, forged new alliances, and defended Earth against emerging threats. "We've come a long way," Anderson remarked during a quiet moment in his office, surrounded by holographic star maps and diplomatic documents. "But our journey is far from over." Reynolds nodded, a smile tugging at his lips. As long as there are stars to explore and challenges to face, we'll be ready. Years passed, and Anderson eventually retired from active duty, passing the mantle to a new generation of leaders. Reynolds continued to serve, mentoring young officers and guiding Earth's defense strategy. On the anniversary of their victory over the Galactic Empire, Earth celebrated Anderson and Reynolds as symbols of courage, unity, and resilience. Their legacy lived on in the hearts and minds of every citizen, a reminder of what humanity could achieve in the face of adversity. We've seen humanity at its best, Anderson reflected during a ceremony in their honor. And I have no doubt that our future is brighter than ever. Reynolds nodded, his gaze sweeping over the gathered crowd. Together, we'll continue to reach for the stars. As Anderson and Reynolds looked out over the horizon, the sun setting over a peaceful Earth, they knew that their journey had been more than just a series of battles and adventures. It had been a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. We faced unimaginable challenges, Anderson said softly, his voice carrying the weight of their shared experiences. But we've also discovered the boundless potential of humanity. Reynolds placed a hand on Anderson's shoulder, a silent gesture of camaraderie and friendship. And as long as there are stars in the sky, Captain, we'll be ready for whatever comes next. Together, they watched as the stars began to appear in the twilight sky, a reminder of the countless worlds waiting to be explored and the infinite possibilities that lay ahead. Years of relative peace followed the defeat of the Galactic Empire, but whispers of unrest began to spread throughout the galaxy. Rumors surfaced of a covert alliance forming among disgruntled factions, seeking to challenge Earth's newfound dominance. Anderson and Reynolds received intelligence reports detailing suspicious activities on the fringe worlds, weapons stockpiling, secretive meetings, and encrypted communications. We can't ignore this, Anderson declared, his brow furrowed as he studied the holographic display of intercepted transmissions. There's something bigger brewing out there. Reynolds nodded, his expression grim. It looks like some factions aren't content with peace. They see Earth as a threat. In response to the growing unrest, Anderson and Reynolds embarked on a diplomatic mission to the troubled sectors of the galaxy. Their goal, to assess the situation firsthand, gather intelligence, and prevent escalation into open conflict. They met with leaders of various factions, some wary, others openly hostile. Negotiations were tense, with accusations of betrayal and mistrust lingering in the air. We need allies, Reynolds urged during a private meeting aboard the Resolute. If we can't prevent a war, we must at least ensure we're not fighting alone. Anderson nodded, his mind racing with strategies and contingencies. We'll do what it takes to keep the peace, Commander. But we must be prepared for the worst. As their diplomatic efforts continued, Anderson and Reynolds uncovered a web of deceit and manipulation orchestrated by a shadowy figure known only as the Broker. This mysterious individual had been sowing discord among neighboring civilizations, exploiting old grudges and fueling new conflicts. We're dealing with a master manipulator, Anderson remarked, frustration evident in his voice as they reviewed intercepted communications. Someone who's been playing both sides for their own gain. Reynolds clenched his fists, his jaw set in determination. We can't let them tear the galaxy apart. We have to expose the Broker and stop this conspiracy. With the clock ticking and tensions escalating, Anderson and Reynolds raced against time to gather evidence against the Broker. They coordinated with intelligence agencies, conducted covert operations, and leveraged their alliances to uncover the truth. Each discovery brought them closer to unraveling the conspiracy, but also deeper into danger. The Broker's operatives were relentless, employing sabotage, misinformation, and even assassination attempts to derail their efforts. We're getting close, Anderson said quietly, his gaze fixed on a holographic map of suspected Broker hideouts. But we have to tread carefully. One wrong move could ignite a war. Reynolds nodded, his expression grave. We can't afford to fail, Captain. Too much is at stake. In a daring raid on a clandestine meeting of Broker agents, Anderson and Reynolds finally confronted the Broker face-to-face. The tension was palpable as accusations flew and alliances were tested. You've underestimated us, Broker, Anderson stated, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his veins. We know what you've been doing, and it ends now. The Broker, a figure cloaked in shadows, chuckled softly. You think you can stop me? I've played this game for centuries. You're just pawns in a much larger scheme. Reynolds stepped forward, his eyes narrowing. Not this time. This ends here. What followed was a tense standoff, where words were as deadly as weapons. The Broker attempted to bargain, to deceive, But Anderson and Reynolds stood firm, their resolve unshakable. In the end, with evidence gathered and alliances secured, the brokers' network crumbled. Their operatives were arrested, their influence waned, and peace was restored to the troubled sectors of the galaxy. With the brokers' conspiracy exposed and neutralized, Anderson and Reynolds focused on rebuilding trust among the affected factions. They facilitated reconciliation talks, offered humanitarian aid, and reinforced their commitment to maintaining peace. It's not just about ending conflicts, Anderson remarked during a summit of faction leaders. It's about forging a new path forward together. Reynolds nodded in agreement, his gaze sweeping over the assembled leaders. We've shown that unity is stronger than division. Let's ensure this peace lasts. As peace settled once more across the galaxy, Anderson and Reynolds reflected on the lessons learned and the challenges overcome. Their journey had been fraught with danger and uncertainty, but also marked by courage, resilience, and hope. We faced our share of adversaries, Anderson said during a quiet moment aboard the Resolute. But every challenge has made us stronger. Reynolds smiled, a sense of pride in his voice. And we've proven that humanity's spirit can light the darkest corners of the galaxy. Together, they looked out into the starlit expanse, knowing that their mission was far from over. New adventures awaited, new challenges would arise, but they were ready to face whatever the galaxy had in store. Amidst the calm of interstellar peace, whispers of dissent began to stir within Earth's own ranks. A faction of disillusioned officers questioned Anderson's leadership, citing the heavy toll of recent conflicts and the strains of maintaining galactic order. "They've forgotten what we fought for," Reynolds muttered to Anderson, frustration etched on his face as they reviewed reports of dissent. "They don't understand the sacrifices we've made." Anderson nodded solemnly, his mind racing with strategies to quell the unrest while preserving unity among their ranks. "We need to address their concerns, Commander. We can't afford division, especially now." As tensions simmered within, Anderson faced a series of trials that tested his resolve as a leader. Political maneuvers, accusations of negligence, and personal attacks threatened to undermine the stability he had fought so hard to maintain. "This isn't just about me," Anderson admitted to Reynolds during a late-night strategy session. "It's about the crew, about Earth's future. We can't let doubt cloud our judgment." Reynolds nodded in agreement, his support unwavering. "We've faced worse odds before, Captain. We'll weather this storm, too." Amidst the turmoil, a trusted member of Anderson's inner circle was implicated in a covert plot to undermine Earth's defenses. The revelation sent shockwaves through the Resolute's crew, shattering their trust and testing loyalties. "I never saw it coming," Anderson confided to Reynolds, grappling with feelings of betrayal and disappointment. "How could they turn against us like this?" Reynolds shook his head, his expression dark. "We trusted them with our lives. Now we have to deal with the fallout." With the traitor apprehended and the immediate threat neutralized, Anderson and Reynolds faced the daunting task of rebuilding trust and morale among their crew. They held candid discussions, implemented transparency measures, and reaffirmed their commitment to unity. "We can't let this divide us," Anderson addressed the crew during a somber briefing. "We're stronger together, despite the challenges we face." Reynolds stood by his side, his voice steady. "We've overcome adversaries from across the galaxy. We won't let internal strife weaken us." As the Resolute continued its missions of exploration and diplomacy, Anderson and Reynolds focused on forging a new path forward. They sought to expand Earth's alliances, foster cooperation among neighboring civilizations, and promote interstellar harmony. "Our goal is not just peace, but understanding," Anderson remarked during a cultural exchange with a newly allied species. "We must learn from each other if we are to thrive together." Reynolds nodded in agreement, his gaze sweeping over the diverse gathering. "Every alliance strengthens us, enriches our shared future." Despite their efforts, echoes of past conflicts lingered in the galaxy's distant corners. Remnants of the Galactic Empire's influence resurfaced, seeking vengeance and sowing discord among vulnerable civilizations. "We can't let history repeat itself," Anderson declared during a crisis summit with allied leaders. "We must stand united against tyranny and aggression." Reynolds nodded grimly, his resolve unyielding. "We'll confront this threat head-on, Captain. Earth won't fall prey to the shadows of the past." In a daring campaign against resurgent Imperial forces, Anderson and Reynolds led a coalition of allied fleets in a series of strategic strikes and covert operations. They disrupted supply lines, liberated enslaved populations, and dismantled Imperial strongholds. "Our allies are counting on us," Anderson emphasized during a crucial battle briefing. We must show the galaxy that tyranny will not prevail. Reynolds coordinated fleet movements with precision, his tactical genius guiding their forces to victory after victory. We'll keep pushing forward, Captain. The Empire won't know what hit them. As the galaxy emerged from the shadow of conflict once more, Anderson and Reynolds reflected on the lessons learned and the challenges yet to come. Their journey had been marked by adversity, but also by resilience, courage, and the enduring spirit of humanity. We faced our share of battles, Anderson said quietly during a moment of reflection aboard the Resolute. But our mission is far from over. Reynolds nodded, a sense of pride in his voice. We've proven that Earth stands strong against any threat. We'll continue to protect our future. Together, they looked out into the vast expanse of space, knowing that their adventures were far from over. New challenges awaited, new alliances would be forged, but they were ready to face whatever the galaxy had in store. Amidst the ongoing peace efforts, remnants of the covert conspiracy orchestrated by the broker began to resurface. Anderson and Reynolds received troubling reports of renewed sabotage attempts and covert operations aimed at destabilizing Allied systems. We thought we had rooted out the broker's network, Reynolds remarked grimly as they reviewed intercepted communications. But it seems they've adapted, finding new ways to sow discord. Anderson clenched his jaw, his expression resolute. We won't let them undo everything we've fought for. We need to stay vigilant and anticipate their next move. With intelligence pointing to a hidden broker stronghold on the fringes of explored space, Anderson and Reynolds launched a daring pursuit. They assembled a task force comprised of elite operatives and trusted allies, prepared to confront the broker's operatives head-on. Our goal is to dismantle their operation and apprehend the broker, Anderson stated firmly during a briefing aboard the Resolute. We can't allow them to threaten peace in the galaxy. Reynolds nodded in agreement, his focus unwavering. We'll strike swiftly and decisively. No more shadows to hide in. Infiltrating the broker's stronghold proved to be a formidable challenge. Anderson and Reynolds led their team through a labyrinth of traps, encrypted defenses, and fierce resistance from entrenched operatives loyal to the broker's cause. We're dealing with fanatics, Reynolds observed as they navigated through a maze of corridors. They won't surrender easily. Anderson's eyes narrowed, his determination stealing his resolve. We have to stay one step ahead. Find their weaknesses, exploit them. After a series of intense skirmishes and strategic maneuvers, Anderson and Reynolds finally confronted the broker in a climactic showdown. The broker, a figure cloaked in shadows, stood defiantly amidst the chaos, surrounded by loyal followers. You've gone too far, Anderson declared, his voice echoing through the chamber. Your reign of manipulation ends here. The broker chuckled softly, their voice laced with arrogance. You underestimate me, Captain. I've orchestrated events for centuries. This is just a minor setback. Reynolds stepped forward, his gaze unwavering. It's over. Your network is dismantled, your allies apprehended. There's nowhere left to hide. As the dust settled and the broker's operatives were subdued, Anderson and Reynolds reflected on the cost of their victory. Lives lost, alliances strained, and the toll on their own crew weighed heavily on their minds. We've achieved our objective, Anderson remarked quietly as they surveyed the aftermath. But at what cost? Reynolds sighed, his expression pensive. We've paid a price, Captain. But we've also prevented a greater threat to the galaxy. Together, they stood amidst the remnants of the broker's stronghold, knowing that their fight was far from over. New challenges awaited, new adversaries would emerge, but they were prepared to defend peace, uphold justice, and safeguard the future of Earth and its allies. With the broker's network dismantled, Anderson and Reynolds focused on rebuilding trust and stability among their allies. They embarked on diplomatic missions, forging new alliances and strengthening existing ones to ensure a united front against future threats. We've proven ourselves in battle, Anderson remarked during a summit with Allied leaders. Now we must show that we're committed to peace and cooperation. Reynolds nodded in agreement, his diplomatic efforts pivotal in bridging cultural divides and fostering mutual understanding. Trust is the foundation of every alliance. We can't afford to take it lightly. As Earth and its allies celebrated their victories, Anderson reflected on the legacy of resilience forged through countless battles and sacrifices. The crew of the USS Resolute became symbols of hope and unity, inspiring generations to come. Our journey has been marked by hardship, Anderson remarked during a ceremony honoring fallen heroes. But it has also shown us the strength of the human spirit. Reynolds stood beside him, his gaze solemn yet determined. We've faced adversity head-on and emerged stronger. Our legacy will endure. Amidst their duties as defenders of peace, Anderson and Reynolds continued their exploratory missions, venturing into uncharted regions of space in search of new worlds and civilizations. Each discovery brought new insights and challenges, expanding humanity's horizons. We are explorers as much as we are protectors, Anderson mused during a planetary survey mission. Every discovery reminds us of the vastness of the universe. Reynolds nodded, his curiosity piqued by the mysteries awaiting them. There's so much more out there to learn and explore. It's both exhilarating and humbling. Despite a period of relative peace, a distress signal from a distant outpost shattered the tranquility. Anderson and Reynolds responded swiftly, rallying the Resolute's crew to investigate the threat and provide assistance to those in need. "We can't ignore a call for help," Anderson declared, his voice resolute as they charted a course to the troubled outpost. Every life matters, no matter how far from home. Reynolds coordinated relief efforts, his tactical expertise ensuring a swift and effective response. "We'll be ready for whatever awaits us." Humanity's resolve will not falter. Upon arrival at the outpost, Anderson and Reynolds discovered a complex web of intrigue and danger. Shadowy figures lurked in the outpost's corridors, their intentions unclear yet undeniably malevolent. "We're walking into a trap," Reynolds warned as they cautiously navigated the outpost's dimly lit passages. "They're waiting for us." Anderson's jaw tightened, his senses on high alert. "We'll proceed with caution. We can't afford to underestimate our adversaries." In a shocking turn of events, Anderson and Reynolds uncovered evidence of betrayal from within their own ranks. A trusted officer had been compromised, leaking sensitive information to the outpost adversaries in exchange for personal gain. How could this happen again? Anderson demanded, his frustration palpable as they confronted the traitor. "We trusted you." Reynolds' disappointment was evident as he restrained the traitor, their actions jeopardizing the lives of their fellow crew members. "There will be consequences for your actions. You betrayed more than just us." As tensions escalated and danger closed in, Anderson and Reynolds led their team in a desperate battle for survival. The outpost's defenses were formidable, forcing them to adapt quickly and rely on their training to overcome the odds. "We're outnumbered," Reynolds gritted his teeth as enemy forces closed in. "But we won't back down." Anderson's resolve hardened, his tactical mind working swiftly to turn the tide of battle. "We'll fight until the end. Earth's honor is at stake." Through courage and sacrifice, Anderson and Reynolds emerged victorious once more. The traitor was apprehended, their schemes unraveled, but not without a heavy toll on the Resolute's crew and the outpost's inhabitants. "We paid a steep price," Anderson acknowledged during a somber debriefing. "But we upheld our principles. That's what matters." Reynolds nodded, a sense of pride in their resilience evident. "We'll learn from this and grow stronger. Our unity is our greatest strength." With the outposts secured and their adversaries defeated, Anderson and Reynolds returned to their mission of exploration and diplomacy. They ventured deeper into uncharted space, driven by a thirst for knowledge and a commitment to peace. "We faced adversity," Anderson remarked as they charted a course through a nebula teeming with unknown phenomena. "But we've never shied away from the unknown." Reynolds smiled, his gaze fixed on the stars ahead. "There's still so much out there to discover. Our journey continues." As Anderson and Reynolds navigated the challenges of their ever-evolving universe, they remained steadfast in their commitment to protecting Earth and its allies. Each encounter, each discovery, shaped their legacy as guardians of peace and explorers of the cosmos. "Our journey is far from over," Anderson reflected during a rare moment of respite aboard the Resolute. "But I wouldn't have it any other way." Reynolds nodded in agreement, the bond between them forged through countless trials. "Together, we'll face whatever the galaxy throws at us." "That's a promise." Amidst a fragile peace, Captain Anderson and Commander Reynolds found themselves at a pivotal galactic summit hosted on a neutral space station. Leaders from across the known galaxies gathered to negotiate treaties, resolve disputes, and strengthen alliances. "This summit is crucial for maintaining stability," Anderson remarked as they navigated through the bustling corridors of the station. "We need to ensure Earth's voice is heard." Reynolds nodded, his gaze assessing the diverse assembly of diplomats and dignitaries. "Diplomacy is our shield against future conflicts. We must tread carefully." During the summit, tensions simmered beneath the surface as old rivalries and new grievances threatened to unravel fragile agreements. Anderson and Reynolds navigated political minefields, striving to forge consensus while safeguarding Earth's interests. "We're walking a tightrope," Reynolds observed during a heated debate over trade regulations. "One misstep could lead to disaster." Anderson remained steadfast, his negotiations firm yet diplomatic. "We must find common ground. Unity is our strength." As diplomatic efforts faltered, echoes of past wars resurfaced. Remnants of rogue factions and militant groups sought to disrupt the summit, testing Anderson and Reynolds' resolve in defending peace against those who thrived on chaos. "We won't let them derail progress," Anderson declared, his voice echoing through the Resolute's command center as they intercepted distress calls. "Prepare for defensive maneuvers." Reynolds coordinated swift responses, deploying Resolute's advanced weaponry and tactical prowess to neutralize threats before they escalated. "They underestimate our determination. We'll protect this summit at all costs." Despite challenges, Anderson and Reynolds persevered, forging alliances and brokering agreements that laid the groundwork for lasting peace. They leveraged Earth's technological advancements and humanitarian efforts to earn respect and trust among their galactic peers. "Our strength lies in our unity," Anderson remarked during a breakthrough trade negotiation. "Together, we can achieve more than we ever could alone." Reynolds nodded, his efforts integral to building bridges between disparate factions. "It's a testament to human resilience and diplomacy. We're making history." Amidst diplomatic triumphs, a new threat emerged from within Earth's own borders. A shadowy organization with ties to influential figures sought to undermine Anderson and Reynolds' efforts, casting doubt on their leadership and sowing discord among their crew. "We have a breach," Reynolds reported grimly, his expression troubled as they uncovered evidence of espionage and sabotage. "They're targeting our most sensitive operations." Anderson's jaw tightened, his resolve unyielding. "We'll root them out, no matter the cost." Earth security is non-negotiable. In a race against time, Anderson and Reynolds uncovered the traitor within their midst, a high-ranking official who had covertly colluded with external forces to weaken Earth's defenses and undermine its standing in the galactic community. "You betrayed everything we stand for." Anderson confronted the traitor, his voice filled with righteous anger as they faced each other in a secure briefing room aboard the Resolute. The traitor's expression hardened, their defiance unwavering. "I did what was necessary for Earth's survival." "You're blind to the bigger picture." As tensions escalated, Anderson and Reynolds faced difficult decisions that tested their loyalty and convictions. They navigated a complex web of allegiances and betrayals, confronting adversaries both within and beyond Earth's borders. "We can't afford to hesitate," Reynolds remarked during a critical strategy session, his gaze steely as they prepared for retaliatory strikes. "Our actions will determine Earth's future." Anderson nodded, his trust in Reynolds unwavering. "We'll stand united, no matter the odds. Our resolve is our strength." In a climactic showdown, Anderson and Reynolds led the Resolute's crew in a battle to defend Earth against overwhelming odds. Enemy fleets descended upon Earth's defenses, testing their mettle and determination in a struggle for survival. "We'll hold the line," Anderson declared, his voice echoing through the bridge as they engaged in fierce combat. "Earth will not fall on our watch." Reynolds coordinated tactical strikes, his leadership decisive in turning the tide of battle against relentless adversaries. "They underestimate our resilience. We'll fight until the last ship." Through courage and sacrifice, Anderson and Reynolds emerged victorious once more, their leadership reaffirmed amidst the debris of battle. Earth's allies rallied to their cause, united in their determination to uphold peace and defend against future threats. "Our unity is our strength," Anderson remarked during a solemn ceremony honoring fallen heroes. "Together, we've shown the galaxy what humanity is capable of." Reynolds nodded, his pride in their achievements evident. "We've faced adversity together, and will continue to stand as guardians of peace." As Earth rebuilt and alliances strengthened, Anderson and Reynolds looked to the future with optimism and resolve. They embarked on new exploratory missions, venturing beyond known boundaries to uncover the mysteries of the universe and forge new paths for humanity. "Our journey continues," Anderson remarked as they charted a course through uncharted space. "There's so much more out there to discover." Reynolds smiled, his gaze fixed on the stars ahead. "We'll face whatever challenges come our way. Together, we'll shape the future." In their exploration beyond known space, Captain Anderson and Commander Reynolds stumbled upon the Galactic Nexus, a region teeming with ancient artifacts and enigmatic structures. As they navigated its celestial wonders, they uncovered clues to civilizations long lost and technologies that defied human understanding. "The Nexus holds secrets that could reshape our understanding of the universe," Anderson remarked, his voice tinged with awe as they surveyed a colossal archive of alien knowledge. Reynolds nodded, his gaze fixed on a holographic star map depicting uncharted sectors. We must tread carefully. These discoveries could alter the course of galactic history. Amidst the ruins of a forgotten civilization, Anderson and Reynolds uncovered a dormant artificial intelligence, an ancient sentinel guarding the Nexus mysteries. As they awakened its slumbering consciousness, they grappled with ethical dilemmas and existential questions about humanity's place among the stars. This AI holds the key to untold knowledge, Anderson mused, his expression contemplative as they conversed with the sentient being. Reynolds furrowed his brow, pondering the implications of their discovery. We must proceed cautiously. Its wisdom could either elevate us or lead us to ruin. Venturing deeper into the galactic nexus, Anderson and Reynolds encountered the ethereal veil, a phenomenon that defied conventional physics and reshaped reality itself. They navigated through temporal anomalies and spatial distortions, unraveling the veil's enigmatic properties and uncovering glimpses of alternate dimensions. The veil is a gateway to realms beyond our comprehension, Anderson remarked, his voice reverberating through the Resolute's observation deck as they witnessed cosmic phenomena. Reynolds nodded, his mind racing with theories about the nature of existence. It challenges everything we thought we knew about the universe. We must unlock its secrets. Amidst the veil's celestial wonders, Anderson and Reynolds encountered the Guardians of Eternity, a transcendent species that had ascended beyond corporeal form. As they communed with these ethereal beings, they gained insights into cosmic balance and the interconnectedness of all life in the galaxy. The Guardians exist beyond time and space, Anderson marveled, his senses heightened by their profound wisdom. Reynolds exchanged glances with Anderson, their minds expanding with newfound understanding. They are custodians of cosmic harmony. We must learn from their example. In a pivotal moment within the galactic nexus, Anderson and Reynolds faced a dire crisis. A cataclysmic event threatened to destabilize the fabric of reality itself. As they raced against time to avert disaster, they marshaled their crew's ingenuity and courage in a desperate bid to preserve the Nexus' delicate equilibrium. We must prevent the Nexus from unraveling, Anderson declared, his voice resolute as they coordinated evacuation efforts and deployed Resolute's advanced technology. Reynolds nodded grimly, his focus unwavering amidst the chaos. Every decision counts. The fate of countless civilizations hangs in the balance. Through steadfast determination and selfless sacrifice, Anderson and Reynolds triumphed over adversity, restoring balance to the galactic nexus and ushering in an era of renewed hope and discovery. As they witnessed the Nexus rebirth, they reflected on the enduring resilience of humanity and its capacity to overcome even the greatest challenges. The Nexus has been reborn, Anderson remarked, his voice echoing through the Resolute's command center as they celebrated their victory. Reynolds smiled, his gaze fixed on the cosmos beyond. We've proven that humanity's spirit knows no bounds. Our journey continues, forging a path toward a brighter future. With the galactic nexus restored, Anderson and Reynolds embarked on an interstellar odyssey, a journey that spanned distant galaxies and uncharted stars. They encountered new civilizations, forged alliances, and confronted adversaries as they navigated the complexities of galactic diplomacy and exploration. Our voyage has taken us to the farthest reaches of the cosmos, Anderson remarked, his voice filled with wonder as they charted a course through unknown territories. Reynolds nodded, his gaze reflecting the resilience of their crew. Each encounter shapes our understanding of the universe. We must remain vigilant. In their quest for knowledge and understanding, Anderson and Reynolds ascended to new heights of cosmic awareness, a transcendent state of being that bridged the gap between mortal existence and cosmic enlightenment. As they communed with celestial entities and traversed the thresholds of existence, they gained insights into the universe's eternal mysteries. We are part of something greater than ourselves, Anderson mused, his consciousness expanding beyond conventional boundaries. Reynolds embraced their journey with a sense of purpose, his spirit intertwined with the cosmic tapestry. We are custodians of the Nexus, guardians of cosmic balance. Our legacy endures. Amidst the infinite expanse of the galactic nexus, Anderson and Reynolds left behind a legacy of exploration, unity, and enlightenment. Their journey transcended time and space, inspiring future generations to embrace the boundless potential of the cosmos and uphold the values of compassion, courage, and discovery. Our journey has shaped the destiny of galaxies, Anderson remarked, his voice echoing through the annals of cosmic history. Reynolds smiled, his essence intertwined with the cosmic fabric. Our legacy lives on in the hearts and minds of those who dare to reach for the stars. The Nexus endures. As Anderson and Reynolds ventured toward the Nexus horizon, they embraced the infinite possibilities of the cosmos, a boundless expanse of discovery, adventure, and enlightenment that transcended mortal existence. Together, they forged a path toward a future where humanity's spirit soared among the stars, forever bound to the cosmic nexus. The horizon beckons, Anderson murmured, his gaze fixed on the cosmic tapestry stretching before them. Reynolds nodded, his spirit intertwined with the universe's eternal rhythm. Our journey continues, shaping the nexus destiny. Together, we embrace the cosmic horizon. In the aftermath of their cosmic odyssey through the galactic nexus, Captain Anderson and Commander Reynolds navigated the uncharted territories of their newfound knowledge. They grappled with the profound implications of their discoveries and sought to integrate the wisdom gained into the fabric of humanity's collective consciousness. The Nexus has unveiled truths that challenge our very understanding of existence, Anderson remarked, his voice tinged with awe as they debriefed aboard the Resolute. Reynolds nodded solemnly, his mind racing with theories and possibilities. We must approach this knowledge with humility and reverence. It holds the key to our future. As Anderson and Reynolds reflected on their journey through the galactic nexus, they contemplated the enduring legacy they had forged, a testament to humanity's resilience, curiosity, and capacity for growth. Their experiences resonated across the cosmos, inspiring future generations to embrace the boundless potential of exploration and discovery. Our legacy is intertwined with the cosmic tapestry, Anderson mused, his gaze fixed on the stars beyond the Resolute's viewport. Reynolds smiled, his spirit uplifted by the impact of their journey. The Nexus is a beacon of hope and enlightenment. Our path has illuminated the way for others to follow. In the wake of their cosmic revelations, Anderson and Reynolds delved deeper into the origins of the galactic nexus, an ancient nexus point of civilizations, technologies, and cosmic energies that transcended time and space. They unraveled the nexus's genesis, tracing its evolution from a cosmic anomaly to a nexus of interstellar significance. The genesis of the nexus reveals a tapestry woven with the threads of countless civilizations, Anderson remarked, his voice resonating with reverence as they studied ancient artifacts. Reynolds nodded, his eyes alight with curiosity and wonder. It is a convergence of cosmic forces and cosmic wills. We are mere witnesses to its majesty. As Anderson and Reynolds ascended to new heights of cosmic awareness, they encountered celestial beings and entities that defied mortal comprehension. They communed with beings of pure energy, traversed dimensions of existence, and unlocked the secrets of cosmic ascendance. Our ascendance transcends mortal limitations, Anderson murmured, his consciousness expanding amidst the cosmic energies. Reynolds embraced their journey with a sense of purpose and awe. We are custodians of cosmic balance, guardians of the Nexus. Our journey shapes the destiny of galaxies. Amidst the cosmic revelations of the galactic nexus, Anderson and Reynolds faced a revelation that shook the foundations of their understanding. They uncovered a cosmic prophecy foretelling a convergence of cosmic energies that would reshape the fabric of reality itself. The Nexus holds the key to a cosmic revelation, Anderson remarked, his voice filled with determination as they deciphered ancient texts. Reynolds nodded, his mind racing with implications. We must unlock its secrets before it's too late. The fate of galaxies hangs in the balance. In a pivotal moment within the galactic nexus, Anderson and Reynolds confronted a cosmic reckoning, a cataclysmic event that threatened to destabilize the balance of cosmic forces. As they raced against time to avert disaster, they marshaled their crew's ingenuity and courage in a desperate bid to preserve cosmic equilibrium. We must prevent the nexus from unraveling, Anderson declared, his voice resolute as they coordinated evacuation efforts and deployed Resolute's advanced technology. Reynolds nodded grimly, his focus unwavering amidst the chaos. Every decision counts. The fate of galaxies hangs in the balance. Through steadfast determination and selfless sacrifice, Anderson and Reynolds triumphed over adversity, restoring balance to the galactic nexus and ushering in an era of renewed hope and discovery. As they witnessed the nexus rebirth, they reflected on the enduring resilience of humanity and its capacity to overcome even the greatest challenges. The nexus has been reborn, Anderson remarked, his voice echoing through the Resolute's command center as they celebrated their victory. Reynolds smiled, his gaze fixed on the cosmos beyond. We've proven that humanity's spirit knows no bounds. Our journey continues, forging a path toward a brighter future. As Anderson and Reynolds ventured toward the Nexus horizon, they embraced the infinite possibilities of the cosmos, a boundless expanse of discovery, adventure, and enlightenment that transcended mortal existence. Together, they forged a path toward a future where humanity's spirit soared among the stars, forever bound to the cosmic nexus. The horizon beckons, Anderson murmured, his gaze fixed on the cosmic tapestry stretching before them. Reynolds nodded, his spirit intertwined with the universe's eternal rhythm. Our journey continues, shaping the nexus destiny. Together, we embrace the cosmic horizon,